resigned, I
And-
believe.
yeah.
Or not resigned.
And Josh Gilmore.
Okay, it's looking like it's 4 o'clock here, and I was given the thumbs up to go ahead and start, so we will go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Salina Heritage Commission. Today is October 25th, 2023. If staff could, hold on, yeah. There's a request that staff confirm that the Kansas Open Meeting Act required notice has been properly provided.
Madam Chair, I can confirm that the notice of today's meeting was provided and the packet has been properly posted. Our packet has been posted and required notice has been provided of today's meeting, so we have met the open meetings requirement and can proceed to roll call on today's meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and call roll. Commissioner Gilmore, Commissioner Mikesell,
Present.
Commissioner Martin, Commissioner Baffa,
Here.
Commissioner Ivy,
Here.
Commissioner Gillum.
Here.
So we have a 6-member appointed board. A quorum is a majority of those appointed, which is 4. We have a majority that constitutes a quorum, and so we can move ahead with item 2.
Okay, so item 2 is the approval of the minutes from the Heritage Commission special meeting held on June 8, 2023. I will give you all a few minutes to look over those notes and then ask any questions that you might have of staff.
That was a long time ago.
I move we accept.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes from the June 8 meeting have been approved, so we'll move on to new business items. It does not look like we have any public hearing items today. It looks like the only thing on our agenda is item 3.1, which is our annual business meeting and election of officers.
So we've had some quorum and scheduling issues, so we decided that we would just have the annual meeting at our regularly scheduled quarterly meeting. So normally this would occur in September, shortly after the City Commission makes its board and commission appointments. But as we noted, the full membership of the Heritage Commission is 7 appointed members. This commission currently has 6 appointed members, 4 of whom are present, and Mr. Martin and Mr. Gilmore are absent. Mr. Ivy served as the Planning Commission's representative last year. He agreed to serve another term, and the City Commission reappointed him to be the Planning Commission representative on the Heritage Commission. Terry Seibel's term expired and she did not seek reappointment, so we have 1 opening. Adia Peck was appointed as a new youth member, replacing Stephanie Silverman. So our primary task this afternoon is to elect a chair and a vice chair. And Ms. Gillum has served 2 consecutive terms as your chair, and as such, she is not eligible for another term. Since she would not serve as the vice chair previously, she would be eligible for that position. And so everyone that's currently on the commission is eligible for either of those positions, except, as I noted, Ms. Gillum is not eligible to serve another term as chair. So there's nothing in the bylaws that precludes the Planning Commission representatives from serving as the Heritage Commission chair or vice chair, which Mr. Ivy has done and has served for a full year. However, I would note that Mr. Ivy is a candidate for the Salina City Commission, and if elected, would not be able to finish out a term because he would move from one commission to another. So that might be something to take into account. You also do not have to be present to be nominated or to win. So you don't have to be present to be a nominee. So at this point, I am going to open the floor for either nominations for or volunteers to serve as chair for the upcoming year on the Heritage Commission.
Question on the attendance of Joshua Gilmore. Doesn't seem like he's been at the last couple of meetings.
I think he has been to one meeting via Zoom since he's been appointed to the board, but we have been in contact with him, and he tells us he still considers himself to be a member.
Okay.
But his attendance has not been as consistent as a lot of other members.
You want to be chairman? Even though it's going to be a short period of time.
Hopefully, but I mean, are you interested in it? No?
Oh, yeah. Do either of you have any interest in serving as vice or chair? Not particularly.
I mean, I would. I'm hoping I'm not here, but if I am, then
So if Mr. Ivy is voted in for either chair or vice chair and were to need to leave the board for his appointment to city commission, then would we
We
nominate?
we would have the vice chair would act in his stead, and then we would bring it back if there's a vacancy and have just an action taken to have a chair and then designate a new vice chair if the vice chair moved up to chair. But if he was not able to serve out his full term of either of those, he's not obviously disqualified from doing that. I was just pointing out that it could leave us in a situation where we would need to replace him if he moved up to the city commission. So.
Mhm.
So vice chair doesn't automatically move up?
They would temporarily,
Oh.
but if there's a vacancy, then we would still go back and have an election, because if the vice chair moves up to chair, then we need a vice chair. So we would still put it on the agenda and have that formally done, but the vice chair automatically serves as the chair in the absence of the chair, but we wouldn't let that go on for a full half year.
So I nominate Jerry Ivy as chairman.
We have a nomination for Jerry Ivy to serve as chair of the Heritage Commission. Is there a second to that nomination?
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second for Commissioner Ivy. Do I have a motion? Are there further nominations, or does someone want to make a motion that nominations cease?
I can move that nomination cease.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to that nomination cease. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now we'll vote on the main motion. All those in favor of Mr. Ivy becoming chair, please say aye.
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 Okay, so we have a chair, Jerry Ivy, and we will open the floor for nominations for vice chair. As I noted, any member currently present or not present could serve as vice chair. And again, although Ms. Gillum is not eligible to be chair, she is not ineligible to be the vice chair. So
I would actually like to nominate Kyle Martin. I know he's not here, but he has fairly good attendance, and I have served as the chair and the vice chair for a few years here in a row, and so I'd like to give another board member, an opportunity to do that.
So we have a nomination of Kyle Martin to serve as vice chair. Is there a second to that nomination?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second to nominate Kyle Martin as vice chair. Are there further nominations, or would somebody move that nomination cease?
I move that nomination cease and he be elected by acclamation.
All those in favor of that combined motion, please say aye.
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 Okay, so we have combined, closed the nominations, and by acclamation, we have Kyle Martin appointed to serve as your vice chair. So that will conclude the business meeting portion of your meeting. We have some activities. The design review board is staying pretty active, but we don't have anything directly affecting a designated historic property downtown that I'm aware of, and so I'm not aware of anything that's on the horizon in the way of pending applications. I will observe that there was some discussion there about apartments and development out in the Menards vicinity, and we do have applications that have been filed for annexation, zoning, and platting to occur on property that's just directly to the west of Menards on Virginia Drive for additional housing in that area. But it's not the same property on which apartments were proposed before north of Menards. And so the term is referred to in different ways, but in many developments, the anchor or lead tenant, there are reciprocal easement agreements, and it basically gives the lead tenant veto power over what occurs in the rest of the center. So we've had a case where the Ross Dress for Less and ended up at Central Mall was originally proposed south of Kohl's, and Kohl's vetoed having Ross Dress for Less in that center. And so in many cases those are set up that way, and the Planning Commission approved 2 different site plans for a Murphy Oil Company convenience store at the corner of Schilling and 9th in front of Lowe's, only to have Lowe's veto that as a use there. And so we suggested, they actually brought it back twice, and then we suggested that next time they get with Lowe's first, and not in the case that was discussed, there was a Menards Real Estate Committee that approved the use of apartments there, but the owner of Menards reserved the right to veto the decisions of their real estate committee. So there was a belief that that was an acceptable use there. But the location that's being proposed now is not part of that development or part of that subdivision, so Menards doesn't have any say in the matter. But there is applications that we have received that are going to be moving forward here for annexing, zoning, and platting that property on the west side of Virginia Drive, west of Menards.
So there's only one entrance to that location. Does that mean that Virginia's going to go south?
There's a
At this time?
there's a master plan for Virginia Drive to. The reason it's named Virginia Drive is it's supposed to tie in with Virginia Drive that's down at Schilling Road.
Yeah.
And through Hollybrook, so the master plan is for that road to someday connect all the way to Schilling Road. But it's obviously development in Salina occurs in stages and phases, so that's the ultimate goal.
But isn't there in planning ordinances requiring an emergency access road if there's more than 30 houses?
There will be, if there is, there will be a separate connection to Magnolia Road.
An emergency,
Yes.
okay. Just seemed like now would be the time to make Virginia through.
Yeah, it's just we have one owner there between this development and Hollybrook that doesn't agree with you, so. But I'd be, like I said, we don't have any, we can't announce the scheduled time for your next meeting, but if we have a special meeting or request that is filed, we'll reach out to Mr. Ivy and try to come up with a meeting date that works for everybody's schedule. But that's all the information and additional business we have for you this evening.
Okay. If there's no further discussion amongst board members, then I would entertain a motion for us to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion and second to adjourn. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time today.